in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Tell us again your birthday.
March the 19th, 1904.
And you were born where?
Fowler, Indiana.
Fowler, Indiana.
Benton County.
And who's your father?
What was that?
Who is your father?
Your dad.
Your father.
James O. Reed.
He's kind of hard of hearing, Joey.
Okay. And your mother?
Mary Catherine Brim.
And where were they from?
They were from Indiana.
What kind of work did your father do?
Oh, he worked in machine shops and
Last time you told me a family moved to New Mexico.
we first moved to Indian Territory in the Creek Nation.
Tell me about that.
Well, I was about a year old at the time. And just before Oklahoma became a state, we went to New Mexico Territory.
What part of the Creek Nation?
Oh, it was down around Wagner, I presume.
And do you know why the family moved to that area?
Trying to better themselves, probably.
And how did the family move on that trip?
I don't know.
And how long did you stay in the territory?
Well, we left before 1907, before statehood.
For New Mexico?
Yeah. We lived there on a homestead.
What part of New Mexico?
Ricardo.
Ricardo. Do you remember that area? Do you remember New Mexico?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about it.
Well, I was about 6 years old when we left.
And you remember the trip back to Oklahoma?
Yeah. Come on a train.
You did.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that trip, coming back. Anything happen?
Well, we lost our box of belongings.
You lost them.
The railroad did.
Mm.
When we got off at Bridgeport, our baggage didn't get off.
You ever find it?
Yeah, they finally found it, but they wouldn't ship it back to us. We had to pay to ship it back to us. The railroad wouldn't do it. So we never did get it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't want to spend the money, I guess.
Would you relate some stories about Bridgeport?
Hmm?
Would you just relate some stories you remember about Bridgeport?
Oh. I made a list of them. There used to be an old man that run a stagecoach between the hotel and the depot.
Mm-hmm.
And when he didn't have any passengers, he'd let us kids ride with him.
Mm-hmm.
But if he had a passenger, we'd have to walk back. And he finally bought him a Model T.
He did. Was that the first car you saw?
No. He bought him a Model T, and the mothers wouldn't let us kids ride with him after he got that car.
Why?
He was pretty reckless.
Tell me.
And where did the stagecoach went from where to where?
From the hotel to the... He hauled passengers and mail and stuff from the depot up to town. The town was about a quarter of a mile from the downtown.
Mm-hmm.
It was down on the river, and the town was built on kind of a upland.
Mm-hmm. What was his name?
Schmidt,
Schmidt.
SCHMIDT or something like that.
In German.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go to school in Bridgeport?
Hmm.
You go to school in Bridgeport?
Yeah.
Tell me about the school.
Well, it was a 4-room outfit that they just had the 8th grade.
And you say there are 4 rooms?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you went to high school, you had your El Reno. That's where most of the kids went.
How long did you live in Bridgeport?
We left there in 18. We got there about 1910 or 11 or somewhere in there.
Let's see. I remember a story about a big flood that destroyed the railroad bridge.
Yeah.
And your father was on the other side of the river?
Mm-hmm.
Can you relate that story again?
Well, there were several people that...
Just a second. Okay, so you were telling me about the flood that took the railroad bridge.
Yeah. Well, there was a bunch of people out there on the bridge trying to save it, and the bridge went out because they went down the river. A lot of them they never did find bodies or anything.
But your father wasn't on the bridge.
Oh no,
And how long before he got back to the house?
I can't remember.
What year was that?
I can't remember that either.
Any other stories about Bridgeport?
Yeah, I was thinking of one. There was I went downtown one Saturday morning, and there was people gathered out in front of the jail. And this guy they had in jail, I don't know what he was in there for, but he was throwing lumber out the windows of the jail. And one guy asked, "How can you do that? You don't have any tools in there." This other guy says, "Well, he built a jail for him." See, he didn't use any nails when he put it together.
How did you put it together?
Well, he had to nail it up to a certain point, but he was tearing the jail down from the inside.
How big was Bridgeport in those days?
Well, I think about when we were there, it was about 1,200. I think it was the biggest town in the area during its lifetime. I think somebody said it was about 3,000 at one time.
What happened to Bridgeport? Why did it just die?
Well, when they built the railroad in there, the town was built on the east side of a canyon. When they built the railroad in there, they built the station down by the river on the west side of the canyon. So the post office is on the east side, and these people that built over on the west side after the station was built wanted the post office on their side of town, so they went over there one night and moved it. And the people on the east side came over and tried to move it back, and they had a gun battle. I never did understand whether anybody ever got killed or not. And the people couldn't get their post office back, so they moved to Hinton, a town about 6 miles south of Bridgeport. Then it started going downhill.
So it was fighting among themselves, people moved to Hinton.
Yeah, half of them did.
And how long did your grandfather work for the railroad? Your father, rather.
Well, he worked there till we moved.
Oh, I remember.
About 5 or 6 years probably.
I remember one story about someone mentioned a money tree, that money grew on trees. Tell me about that.
Well, that's what my dad said when he moved to Oklahoma, that money, told everybody money grows on trees down there, see. When we got down here, we couldn't find it.
Did you look for it?
I don't think we was that gullible.
World War One.
That's when we moved to Bartlesville.
And why?
1918.
And why'd you move to Bartlesville?
Well, my sister was up here and her husband was living up here, so we came up here. There wasn't anything to do down in Bridgeport. Town was pretty dead.
And how'd you move to Bartlesville?
We came on the train.
On the train? What was your first impression of Bartlesville?
Well, I thought it was a metropolis.
How big was it?
See, I never saw a moving picture show until we came to Bartlesville.
What did you think of your first motion picture?
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't too impressed, probably.
And how big was Bartlesville at that time?
Well, it's probably about 9,000, 10,000, something like that.
And
Hey, the south edge of town was 14th Street up here. So this is all country out here, where we're living now.
let me back up and ask about, you had an older sister, Ruby?
She was the youngest.
The youngest.
Mm-hmm. She died. She had measles or something.
Yeah, tell me about her. Do you remember her?
Yeah, I remember her.
Okay, and where and when did she die?
Oh, I don't know. She was probably about 6 or 8 years old or something like that.
And what type of work did your father do in Bartlesville?
He worked for the Black, Silver, and Bryson tank builders, and he worked for the Larkin Packer Company, which made oil field packers and stuff. Of course, during the war years, they weren't doing. They were making shells for the military at that time when he worked down there.
Yeah, here in Bartlesville?
Mm-hmm.
Where is the plant located here in town?
It was down there on Park Avenue, where Rita is now.
I'm sorry?
Where Rita is now.
And did you go through high school here in Bartlesville?
Yeah.
And you graduated in what year?
23.
23. Where was the high school here?
It was there where the Ritz Apartments is now. On Dewey, down the street here on 8th and Dewey, or 9th and Dewey.
And did that school burn or was it torn down?
No, they just tore down
Okay. When did they tear it down?
after I graduated. They didn't tear it down to get me out.
So in the 20s, there were many flappers here in town.
Oh yeah, there were a lot of them.
Tell me about the flappers.
They were just young girls, all the way from 16 to 18 or 20.
And what makes a girl a flapper?
Their age, I probably.
And also, you had an older brother?
Yeah.
Tell me about him.
Well, he was killed down here for the old Union machine shop it was on 14th Street.
Now, were you with him when that happened?
No.
Okay, what happened?
Well, they were crossing a crack and a switch engine hit them. killed him, and Steve, who was driving the truck, didn't even scratch him. He was 20 years old, I think, at the time.
And your brother's name was?
Paul.
Paul. What did you do after high school?
I went to work for the Benning Wholesale Grocery.
Doing what?
Office work.
Mm-hmm. And where were they located?
They were on 2nd and Park Avenue.
And what were your duties with them?
Well, I operated the posting machine. I did everything, cashier and everything.
And what was the name of the company again?
Benning Wholesale.
Benning Wholesale.
Mm-hmm.
Were they suppliers to stores in the area?
Yeah. There were a lot of them here. There was about 3 or 4 here in town at the time, different ones.
Okay. Was the oil boom on at that time?
Oh, yeah.
How did that oil boom affect Bartlesville?
It made it. If it hadn't been for the oil boom, there wouldn't have been anything here. It would have been like Caney or some of these other towns.
Would you compare Bartlesville before the oil boom and after the oil boom? What was the difference?
Well, the oil boom was going on when we came here. I wasn't here before.
When people mention the oil boom, I think of like Seminole when people lived in tents. Was there a tent city near here? Everybody lived in houses?
Well, I've talked to some of the old timers around here, and they said that they lived in tents down on 1st Street.
And what?
Said the mud was about knee deep.
And when was that? When they were on tents, in tents on 1st?
That's before statehood.
Okay. You said you made some notes.
Yeah.
Relate some of the things that you thought of.
Well, I don't know how old I was, 10 or 12 or something like that. There was a guy that lived between the town and the depot down at Bridgeport. That I used to go down there, and we'd on Saturdays we'd saw wood for stove wood. And he, when we got through, he told me he didn't have any money to pay me, and he couldn't pay me anything. So he said, I'll let you have my buggy and horse and buggy for 1 whole day. Go any place you want to. So I got another kid to go with me. We went over to Geary, Oklahoma one day. And that was it. I worked all summer for that one day.
So what did you do in Gary?
We stopped there and went to a grocery store and bought us some nickels worth of candy or something. I don't know. We had a little money.
Did you know many of the Indians around Gary or Bridgeport?
Yeah, I was going to say that about once a year, the Indians go down to a powwow down south around Anadarko, and they'd always stop in Bridgeport to stay a week or so. We got our dogs and tied them up because those Indians would take them dogs with them when they left and stuff like that. And there used to be a couple of Indians, they were brothers, come to town. And this older brother would go into a grocery store and get him a bottle of lemon extract. Run out in the middle of the street, opens up and drank it before the storekeeper get to him. Then the younger Indian would come in and pay for it. I don't know why they never just bought it and took it out there, but they'd always, this big one would grab it and run.
What Indians were they? What tribe?
I think they were the Kiowas. They lived across the river up in Blaine County.
What are some other stories that you've thought of?
Well, I was going to tell you about they had a big celebration there every year.
In Bridgeport?
Yeah, they call it the Blue and Gray Reunion, which was the Civil War veterans. They'd come down there and stay for a week, 10 days, down in the park. They'd bring their tents, and it'd be really like a carnival, merry-go-rounds and stuff. And these railroads would pull in a bunch of Pullman cars, sleepers. That's where a lot of the people stayed because we only had one little hotel there, the Tremont. And that would go on for a week or so. It was a big thing.
Okay.
And there was an old man, and we used to call him Cap Logan. I always figured he owned the bank. He'd come to town about once a month to check up on his bank. Had a mouthful of gold teeth. That's what I remember about him.
Was that here in town or?
That was in Bridgeport.
Did you help clear the land for Wool Rock?
Mm-mm.
Was it Harvey or?
Harvey did.
Harvey.
He worked out there one summer, cutting down the brush and cleaning it up, sawing some of the trees down.
When did you begin to work with Phillips?
Well, I first began working there in 1927, and I got laid off.
In the Depression?
Well, everything was depression back in those days. You didn't have a job. They hired you when they needed you. And when they didn't need you, they just laid you off. And then when they needed you again, they just told you to come back to work. That's what happened to me.
What did you do for Phillips in those years?
But just bookkeeping.
Bookkeeping?
You did all that stuff by hand back in those days. They called us pencil pushers.
How did the Depression affect you and your family?
Well, I was the only one working.
For Phillips?
Yeah. Phillips kept me on.
I understand that your mother was living at... No. Where were you all living at that time?
14th in Virginia.
Is that what they call Starvation Corner?
Yeah.
Where'd that name come from?
I think the guy had a little filling station there, and he was just barely making it. Guy by the name of Foley or something like that.
Oh.
He's the one that put the sign up.
Is that Gene Fowler?
I can't remember his name. I think it was Foley.
Oh, okay.
He put the sign up on his filling station, Starvation Corner.
What kind of house you have there at Starvation Corner?
It was just a shack. About 4 rooms of something like that.
And what year did you get married?
36.
36. And you married who?
Mary Brown.
Mary Brown. Where was she from?
Ottaway, Kansas.
Tell us some other stories that you thought of.
Well, I stayed with some people there at Bridgeport for a while. They was wanting to adopt me. And he built a swimming pool and a bathhouse down in the park where people came from all around on the weekends. I can remember that.
What was his name?
Clark,
Clark.
George.
And why did they build a bathhouse and pool in the park?
Recreation.
Recreation.
He was a businessman there in town. Run a confectionery or something.
Now, how far is Hinton from Bridgeport?
Oh, I think it's about 6 miles. You could see from one town to the other, and there wasn't any hills or anything in between.
Any more stories that the notes that you've made?
Oh, there was a family of Pecks that lived east of town there that had a bunch of dogs. They used to come through town and bring their dogs and stop in the grocery stores and buy 3-4 weeks worth of groceries. Going hunting, see. They let their dogs out and how they were in the grocery stores buying stuff, and then when they got all their supplies and everything purchased, well, they'd get their dogs and put them back on their wagons. And they said that the talk was that they were kind of a bunch of outlaws or something. I never get the catch of it, but he said that they weren't going hunting. They were just using that as an excuse. They'd buy all these groceries and everything, and there were some caves up northwest of town there, western place. He said what they were doing, they were taking the supplies up to these people, family members that was hiding out from the law in these caves. That's the way they were supplying them. I don't know how truthful it was.
How far are the caves from Bridgeport?
Oh, they were probably talking about those alabaster caves and that stuff.
Yeah.
North and west of town up there. Probably several miles.
What part of Bridgeport did you live in?
Well, it wasn't a very big town. We lived pretty close to downtown. I remember the school was between us and the town.
I understand that there was an epidemic in Bridgeport.
They had one every summer, typhoid.
Typhoid.
Always somebody dying. Typhoid.
What caused the typhoid?
Well, it's generally your water.
And what kind of water system did they have?
They had a water system, but we were too poor to be on it, so we didn't get typhoid. I think we were the only family there that didn't have typhoid at one time or another. Best I can remember. That's what Mabel said. That I asked her one time, how come no people in our family ever got typhoid and everybody else in town did? And she said we was too damn poor to hook onto the water system.
What else you have? The notes. Where'd you see your first automobile?
Well, when we went to Bridgeport, there were some real old automobiles. One with the big wheels, and I saw those there.
What did you think of it when you first saw it?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I understand there's a big fire here in Bartlesville. That burned part of downtown
Yeah.
back in the, what, 20s?
Yeah, I think it was the 20s.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
What happened?
It just burned. That's where the Foster Oil Company building is now, a two-story building there. There's a big four-story building there.
What building was there? What building burned?
Well, it was a Boston store was in there. It was a big four-story building. There was a lot of people in the upstairs there. Boston store was down.
Do you remember the Lanham house
Yeah.
when it burned?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, how big was that house?
That was a real mansion. The Lanhams owned all that land in there between 14th Street and Sand Creek. They used to have a racetrack there, horse barns. They'd have horse races there all the time.
Were they Indian?
His wife was. He was a white man.
So they had horse races there then?
Yeah. He had a track there. And
You ever go to them?
That was before my time.
Okay. And the house burned in what year?
Seemed like to me it was 26 or something like that. Seemed like it was. We used to go down there and pick pecans off of her, and we'd always go by and get permission from Mrs. Lanham. And then when we came back, we'd stop in there and give them half of our pickings. And Mrs. Lanham would always invite us in to have a piece of pie.
Was that the big house?
That was the big house. She never missed. She'd always invite us in, set us down to a piece of pie.
Why'd that house burn?
I think it was just a wiring, electric wiring.
And then, did you know Mr. Foster?
Who?
Mr. Foster? Foster Oil, you know, H.B. Foster?
I just know him when I seen him.
What about Frank Phillips? Did you know him?
Oh, well, just like, he'd always speak to you, and when he saw you, and he was more or less kind of friendly guy.
When you were in school in Bridgeport, what did you do for recreation? What kind of games did you play?
Oh, basketball, which I didn't play because I was too short.
You have baseball in there?
Yeah, that's the first time that I'd... See, the colored people moved into the old part of town over on the east side when those guys moved out and went to Hinton. That's where they lived. And we'd go over there and play baseball with the colored kids. And my mother told me one morning she wanted to know where I was going. I told her and going to play ball. And she said, don't call them niggers. That's not nice. So I went over there. The first thing that happened, a couple of those Negro kids got in a fight, and they were calling one another nigger, see, and I couldn't figure it out. Because before we moved to Bridgeport, I never saw a black person.
You didn't?
No, we always lived in New Mexico. When we lived in the Creek Nation, they were colored people down there, but I was too small to remember them.
Do you remember your grandparents?
Mm.
You never knew.
I think my father's mother come down here when we lived in the Creek Nation to visit us one time, but I was only about a year old or something like that.
Were either one of your grandfathers in the Civil War? Or do you know?
I don't know.
So,
My dad told me one time that one of his, I don't know if it was an uncle or a great uncle, was in the War of 1812. Which was way back there.
yeah.
He said that his folks came over here they were in the Carolinas. I guess they didn't have North and South Carolina back in those days. He said that's where they came
This was
when
your
they first
father's
came
family?
over here from England.
This was your father's family?
Mm-hmm.
So his name is Reed in the War of 1812?
Mm-hmm.
Was his name Reed, the guy in the War of 1812?
I don't know. He just said somebody's uncles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Trying to think what else.
Well, that's about it, I guess.
Let me.
Because I didn't get to hear what y'all talked about.
Yeah.
And you say you were 16 when Paul was killed?
Mm-hmm.
Was he going to get married?
Well, not that I know of.
I thought he was engaged to her.
I don't know whether he's engaged now. He went with this girl. Everybody thought they were going to get married.
Let me see. Any more stories about Bridgeport or any stories about New Mexico? that you can
I
recall?
was only about 6 years old when we left there. I can remember us kids had a prairie dog that we was keeping. He got away from us.
Yeah.
I remember Mama telling one time that I think you kids had a wagon, and she said they'd take the wagon and go hunt for cow chips during the desert,
Yeah.
or grandmother used for fuel.
Mm-hmm.
And she said sometimes they walked for miles and miles. But she
Oh,
said
yeah.
they never got lost. But she guessed the Lord was with them all the way.
Yeah, but you could see for 30 miles.
Or you could.
You see the
What part?
mountains over there.
What part of New Mexico is that located?
Well, it was around Fort Sumner.
Okay.
Pretty close there.
Mm-hmm.
I know we used to go when we go to town to buy groceries. Why, Dad'd get the hand car out. He worked on the railroad. He'd get the hand car out, and Paul and him would pump it.
How far from town did you live?
I can't remember. It must have been 6, 7 miles. It's quite a ways.
How come you lived out there that far from town?
Well, we lived in Ricardo. I mean, we was about a mile out of Ricardo that's where we lived there. But there was only one store there and everything, and we'd go to this other town on weekends. Fort Sumner, I think the name of it was.
When you moved to Bartlesville, what did you do for recreation here in Bartlesville?
There wasn't much here. Go down to the park. They had a swimming bathhouse down at the park where people would go down there and swim in the river.
Is that Johnstone?
Yeah. Where the dam is down there on Cherokee.
Was there anything left of the old grist mill at that time?
No, it wasn't there at that time. It was that before.
Who are some of the prominent people you knew here in town, in Bronxville?
Well, when I was about 14 years old, I probably didn't know anybody. Whether it's prominent or not, I wouldn't know the difference.
And let me see, we talked about Foster and Phillips. Who were some of the characters back in those days?
Well, the old man Keeler was still living, and
Who?
Keeler was still living.
Did you know him?
No.
How about Johnstone?
Yeah, Johnstone was still around here then. I wouldn't have any reason to know him.
There was old Freiberger or Freeberger that was pretty prominent here. He had a clothing store.
Oh, yeah. Down on 2nd Street.
Yeah, he had a used clothing store down there.
Yeah.
And May Brothers. If they changed their name to May, it
They're
wasn't.
Mandanskis.
What was it?
Mandansky. They were Russian Jews. And when Russia had the revolution and everything, they changed their name to May.
When did they come over here? May Brothers.
They were here when we came to town. I think they started a store down there about 1910 or someplace in that.
You remember who the mayor was in those years?
Hmm.
Was Dr. Weber still here?
Yeah,
Did you know him?
yeah, he was here.
What kind of man was he?
No, he was a rich son of a gun. He had an oil field up here east of Dewey, I guess it was, where his field was. And he was rich. He built out the Masonic Temple down on Dewey. Gave it to the Masonic Lodge.
He was a doctor for the men on the railroad here too. They used him. He was quite a guy.
Remember Dr. Staverman?
Staver? Yeah, I remember him.
He was the county doctor at that time, when that Staver.
He might have been.
When you were a boy at home, what kind of mischief did you get into?
I was a good boy.
No trouble.
He ran into the house one time with his car.
And that was Harvey.
Was that Harvey?
No, I didn't mess with that car.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't have anything to do with it.
What car was that?
I don't know, but I remember
It's a Model T, I think.
he missed his brake or something and hit the,
Hit the corner of the house.
I think it was real, he was pretty happy.
Was that on Starvation Corner?
Mm-hmm.
They're on
I think he had it jacked up, and the motor was running, and it fell off the jack, and it just took off.
Well, that was Dad and Claude that had that thing.
Was that them?
I made a circle around our house and come to rest at the back of Grandma's house.
Yeah, that might have been right.
Oh boy.
Well, I was thinking that Harvey ran into the house one time.
I thought he did too.
Harvey hit there by the front porch. There was Grandma's bedroom.
Well, this here hit right at the back of the north side of the kitchen.
Did you do any work for the CCC or WPA?
Hmm. No, old man Phillips took care of me.
You did.
He kept a lot of people on that didn't have anything to do.
What was your salary those years?
Well, I got up to $150 a month, which was very good. Then when the Depression hit, I think I got cut down to, I think I was making $119 a month. They cut everybody down.
Yeah. Any big oil fires around here?
Not that I know of.
The only big oil fire I knew of was that old oil, let's see, it was down there by the old cow pond. There was a oil pond there. Every once in a while they'd set that afire and burn it off.
Well, they did that periodically.
Yeah. It was controlled fire.
When those BS ponds got full, they just set them on fire.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about, do you have any stories you've heard about Indiana that your folks talked about?
They never did talk much about themselves.
They did. We talked about Indiana, New Mexico, Bridgeport, Burnsville.
Do you remember anything about Ruby?
Yeah, I remember her. She might have been 8 or 7 or 8 or something like that.
She died in 1912.
Was it 12? I couldn't remember.
Who was the oldest of the children?
Lily was the oldest. And Harvey was the youngest. He was born 1910.
How old was Ruby when she died?
Well, she must have been around 8 or something like that, or 7.
What was the matter with her, Winnie?
Well, they said she had the measles. And they went in on her. Place of breaking out, it goes the other way with you.
Now, where'd you meet your wife?
Here in Barlowville.
And was she working here in town?
Mm-hmm. She'd worked for Phillips.
And you married in 36.
Mm-hmm.
What about World War II? You do any work for the war effort?
No. They froze your wages. I remember that. They'd go out and hire people and pay them probably twice as much as you were getting, and you was teaching them the job. Our wages was frozen. You couldn't change your job. You was frozen on your job too.
Well, I guess we have a good interview. Anything else? Did your mother, we talked about Grandma Reed having a rupture?
Her stomach was ruptured.
I didn't know that.
She wore a corset. She told me that she had appendicitis surgery, and she picked up a bucket of water and it ruptured herself. And she wouldn't go back to the doctor.
Yeah, Dr. Weber operated on her.
Is that who it was?
Well, that's when the hospital was up here by the Horseman School.
What hospital was that?
That's just a city hospital.
City Hospital.
We lived down on Park Avenue, and I used to walk out every evening after school. I'd walk out to the hospital when she was in there.
Well, where was that hospital located, Willie?
It was on Keeler, right back of the school.
Back of Horseman School?
Mm-hmm.
Must have been that vacant lot.
It was probably that vacant lot when you remember.
I see. Right there on the corner.
I think it was a two-story building.
It would have been
Best I
right
can
on the corner
remember.
of 12th and Keeler.
What killed, Grandpa Reed?
He just had a heart attack.
I remember somebody saying he had leakage of the heart.
Yeah, that's what they called it back then.
Did he have a stroke also, Winnie?
I suppose he did.
I was thinking that he did.
Yeah. Because he lived quite a while
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah, Grandma told me about her rupture that she had. That's why she had to wear the corset all the time.
Yeah.
She'd take that off at night. Scratch her stomach, and she said, "Boy, that's just like being out of jail."
Mm-hmm.
Well, anything else? Any more stories about Starvation Corner?
Hmm?
Any more stories about Starvation Corner?
No, I can't remember any.
I know us kids used to get up from our table supper time and go over to Grandma's and sit down and eat. And I remember Harvey asking Grandma one time, said, "Doesn't Mabel ever feed these kids?" Grandma said, "Yes, she feeds them." Grandma couldn't cook, but to us it tasted good.
I remember old, I don't remember whether you remember old Pete Gaino or not, that used to run this filling station down there. When,
I know where Perez Heating is now.
Yeah.
what was those people's name that had the store?
Stewart.
Stewart, yeah. They had a slot machine in their store there. And old Pete, when he didn't have any things to do, he'd go up there and play the slot machine. One day, I think he put about $6 in the machine and never did pay off anything. So he went back to his filling station, got a sledgehammer, come up there and busted that slot machine open, got his $6 out of it. And they called the sheriff, gonna have old Pete arrested. And the sheriff told her that I wouldn't do that. Says, from what you tell me, he put $6 in there and took $6 out. He was just getting his own money back and says, "You're not supposed to have this slot machine here anyway." That's against the law. So she dropped charges.
Who was the biggest bootlegger here in town?
Oh, I don't know.
There was quite a few of them.
Sam Couch and
How about Elmer Certain?
Elmer Certain and the Cook brothers,
Yeah.
Claude.
Did they bring the whiskey or did they make it?
Oh, they had steals all around.
They had some good whiskey, then they had some that had been
That,
made and aged in a dog hide.
that wholesale house I worked for sold bootlegger supplies, jugs and bottles and corn sugar and all that stuff. And our trucks would go out here in the Osage, hauling a load of jugs or something. We had one customer out there that you could just go so far with his truck, and he'd meet you down there with the wagons, horse and wagons. He'd take it on further up the hills, and they'd go with the horse and wagon as far as they could go, and then they'd carry it manual from there on.
There was a big old still just on the west of that old Rock Creek farm out there back on the hills back down there, I think over there close to Elm Creek. There was a heck of a big still in there.
I know one day down to the wholesale house, some guy called in, needed some sugar, and the old man we didn't have any trucks in there at the time. It was all busy. So he decided he'd put it in the back end of his car and take it down there to the still. One of the guys says it wouldn't be a big joke on him if one of us would turn him in and get him arrested down there. Because he was a big time bootlegger himself.
He was.
Back in the early days.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was, what was his name? He died several years ago.
Mose Cunningham.
There's old Mose Cunningham.
Jerry Brown.
No, this was, oh, he was, can't think of his name. Well, I've seen him in town.
Fred Staff.
Staff. Oh, Fred Staff.
Yeah.
Staff or Staff?
Staff.
Staff.
Didn't Mose Cunningham run for sheriff?
Yeah, 2 or 3 times.
He was a bootlegger.
Uh-huh.
You know what he'd do? He'd go talk to these people. They said, "Yeah, I'm going to vote for you." So he'd write their name down in this book. He had a book with him and write their names down. See, and of course he'd never get elected. He said, "Them guys have lied to me." He says, "I had enough names in that book to get elected."
He had enough promises to be elected to 4 counties. I asked old Fred Staff one time, I said, "Do you ever know Griff Graham?" He said, "Yeah, I knew the son of a bitch." Griff Graham was a sheriff around here back in the old days.
Mm-hmm.
And,
He had big crap games around.
Staff,
Mm-hmm.
he was quite a guy.
Well, I guess that's it. That's all everything else.
I'm trying to think, Joe. Some things that went. Did down there on 14th.
Well, you know, that old vacant lot just south of Grandma's house, I think, didn't Grandpa plow that up one time, or did Dad or somebody plow it up, and he
But we used to put a garden in
put a
there.
garden in there?
Yeah, every year. Dad would put a garden in there.
That was a good place for a garden.
Did Grandpa raise horseradish when make his own horseradish?
Well, he made his own horse race, but he didn't raise it.
Oh.
And then he sold it around different places. He'd go door to door.
Do you remember him selling Watkins products?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he could speak fluent Spanish, couldn't he?
Oh, pretty good. Enough
He
to.
could real good.
He worked on the railroad, see, and he was a kind of a. He never was section boss, but he was what they call a straw boss. I think that's what they call him.
Yeah.
He'd have to talk to those Mexicans
Yeah, I know there
when
was.
it's on the job.
I was sitting on the front porch with him one time. I don't know how old I was. I was probably 8 or 9 or something like that. A Mexican woman come by looking for her son. She stopped and said something to Grandpa, and Grandpa started talking to her. It surprised me. I knew who she was.
They used to live up there.
She lived up there back in the old mausoleum.
Yeah.
I don't remember what her name was, but she had a son. His name was Sylvester, and he had one hand. Only had one hand. She couldn't find him. And she stopped and talked to Grandpa for quite a while. That's the first time that I knew that Grandpa could speak Spanish.
Was there a red light district here in town?
They tell me it was right west of the depot.
West of the depot.
There's a hotel over there.
That'd be across the tracks?
And they said that, I've talked to guys that said that they used to come to Bartlesville, and the conductor on the train would open the door on the west door so they could get out on that side. And said they never did get any further than that. They never went downtown Bartlesville. They just got off on the west side of the train.
Mom was always telling the kids they would walk down 2nd Street. Like it's, you know,
After those old hotels there on 2nd Street kind of went to bloody, they kind of moved into those places there.
Yeah.
That Alameda, boy, that was the cat's meow.
Yeah, it was one of
its
the
day.
top hotels in this part of the country at one time.
Yeah, people come from all over to that place. It had a good, said it had a great cafeteria, or lunchroom.
That's where all the elite went.
Huh?
That's where all the elite went back
Yeah.
in those days. They went down there to dances and
The Alameda Hotel.
dinners.
That was quite a well-known hotel.
What about the Birmingham Hotel?
That was where the sophisticated
Oh, well, those Mayer brothers come in here and built that up there. That was, I think that was cornfield when they built that hotel up there, and everybody thought they was crazy because you built your hotels down by the depot. Because that's where all your traffic was.
Well,
And, the old depot used to have a concession stand in there too. Wasn't that run by old,
Have a what?
they had a lunch counter in the depot.
Well, Fred Harvey had that
Yeah.
originally.
Who was running that thing? Was that fellow named Hogue?
I don't remember.
I think Aunt Grace worked in there for him a while. He was there at that concession stand over at the post office when it was down there on
Keeler.
Keeler. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Hogue. Seemed like he had something.
that's it.
Over?
So close it ain't funny. Anything else real quick? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Now turn the camera off and let's get to talking.